Good evening and welcome to EV Cruising on a Sunday night. I'm Rosco and welcome if you're watching on Facebook Live. I hope I pushed that button, but otherwise, if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us. And if you're watching and catch up a bit later on, we're here for Sunday night EV Cruising to check out the used EV markets. And well, as the great Gordon Ramsay said, wow, this is just a crazy time for used EVs and new EVs. The market has just gone absolutely haywire. We can't explain it. I'm not sure if anyone can at the moment. Talk about unintended consequences. A guy who hates EVs in the US decides to start something, and well, all of a sudden, EVs are the flavour of the month. And we haven't even checked out the rest of the world here. We've been so busy following, keeping track of what's going on here in Australia, but just cannot believe what's going on in such a short space of time. Let's go back a month or so and just put this into perspective, because first week this all started in March, cruising along, we're at the EV rally, the AVA EV rally, having a great time. But in the background, consumer confidence was starting to, and the stock market was crashing. Consumer confidence was crashing as well. Just felt everyone go, oh, what are we going to do next? And well, everyone did nothing for a week. All of a sudden, by week 2 of March, sort of 12, 15, 2 weeks ago, 15 days, 2 weeks ago, talking to people in the industry, started to get some real vibes that things were just picking up in the EV market, and we were feeling it in Amazing EV. It's starting to get inquiry rates, and this, I guess, just shows it best where we were just starting to get a bit of an uptick. Towards about the 11th of March is when it started. We were getting some natural ups and downs. The dotted line, I'm not showing you the exact metrics of what's going on at Amazing EV, but relatively speaking, the dotted line was the previous month. So we were up for March for sure. We do as much as we can to attract people to the website through SEO and all sorts of promotions, but yeah, it was ticking along, tracking quite nicely. Suddenly by about March the 14th, again, not looking at exact numbers, things started to pick up, and these are just broad inquiries to the site, resulting in clicks, and up it went. 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, that whole week of the 17th, up she went. Then it stabilised, but then it just kicked off again. So we're at Amazing EV. We've really felt it. And don't forget, this whole show is brought to you by Amazing EV. We're running a used EV marketplace for people who are looking to sell EVs, which honestly at the moment is not that hard. And we're going to delve into the reasons why and just exactly what's happened further down in the show. But we started this about 4 weeks ago, this show, just having a cruisy look about the EV markets and seeing what was for sale, not just on our own marketplace, Amazing EV, but also having a look at that now, but also not just on our own website, our own marketplace, Amazing EV, but on all the marketplaces, Car Sales, Auto Trader, Facebook, Gumtree. We keep abreast of them, keep a track of them all, looking for deals, looking for bargains. And each week we've had a different theme, looking for the cheapest, looking for Teslas. Last week was TOCA, the Tesla Owners Club's 10th birthday. So we're cruising around looking for Teslas. And all of a sudden, about a week ago, things just took off. And, I guess I put it down to three or four reasons, really. Now, the main one we've started to see is the media grabbed hold of this. And this came from all sorts of media, left wing, right wing, all sorts of media. They just grabbed hold of this, and it just took off completely, unbelievably. And that article, we didn't see it coming. Shock at the petrol pump sparks surge in interest in used TVs. And so suddenly we've been waiting this. We've been talking about it. We've been doing it. We've been living it for a year, over a year now. And then suddenly the tide starts to come in. It doesn't just come in a rush, but it comes in big time, all right. And that was from the Driven, that article about we didn't see it coming. And honestly, we didn't see it coming either. And maybe if you'd run all sorts of scenario analysis about petrol prices going up and, well, wars overseas and stock market crashes, you might have come to a scenario that included used EVs being flavour of the month and new EVs, of course. Now, unbelievably enough, we've also seen this from the likes of the Australian in the last few days as well. How to buy a used EV as fuel price spike leads to rush now. I put it down to three things, and we're going to thank John Connolly because Well, he's done a bit of work in the past, and you might remember it. It hasn't been so long ago. He does the weekend. The weekend. He writes for the weekend for the Australian. I think I don't read it, but he's got his own website, and we don't blame him. We know where all this comes from, and we're not getting political, but certainly we've copped it for the last 3 years. We've copped it big time from everywhere. But John, fair enough. He's been good enough to. He has been good enough to. He has been good enough to write this article about how to buy a used EV as fuel price spikes. But look, it wasn't that long ago that, and this is from his own site. He's got his own site. Seasoned journalist. Nothing against him. He's got a job to do. He's got a mandate. But this was only 2 weeks ago. Oh, sorry, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago from John, where the EV dream had reached peak fantasy and it was giving car makers a nightmare. So if that was the case a month ago, I don't know what they'd be doing and contemplating now, because we haven't had a close look at new car sales, petrol across the board. I've had a look at used and focused on the used EV market and a bit of the used car market broadly. But one would think if used EV demand and used EVs were the flavour of the month, maybe petrol used cars are down at the moment. So we'll wait and see, because everyone can't wait till we see the sales data for the end of this month. This is just everyone on the new and the used side. Everyone cannot wait. Now, broadly, John's got a job to do. We get it, but certainly the media has been one of the things that's kicked off this demand, and certainly the petrol price. There's no doubt about it. Look, for me though, it's up 25%. It's been $2 on average, up to $2.20 in some cases. Yeah, diesel's copping it. Don't get me wrong. We feel for the truck drivers locked into that model. Diesel's been copping it big time. But petrol price up 20, 25%, 250, 260. The material of that is not huge in the whole scheme of things. Yeah, those that rely on their big cars with lower fuel consumption, we're not going hard on them. But certainly it has caused a rush and a demand towards EVs, new and used. There's no doubt about that. The media have played their part. I can see with articles like that, and there's a dozen of them in the last week. Mainstream newspapers, all sorts of articles about suddenly the demand for EVs as they've picked up on this. But I guess when it comes on to Channel 7 and mainstream media, then, really, I guess, surprising from that perspective. Can't quite understand how they can swing from so negative to so positive so quickly about EVs being the answer. So, look, we just hope they try and hold a balanced view, but, who knows? We just hope in 6 months' time we're not going to get stories about the people who made a mistake going into EVs. And we are committed, and they are committed, and they stay committed, because they've always been the answer, of course, for anyone following this show and anyone involved with it. We know that. So it is amazing world that we live in. I haven't got my messages turned on tonight, so Mrs. Amazing, you can keep track of that. Let me have a look. There we go. That's it. We're back on board. So thank you very much. Now I've turned that off. That's good. Got my messages up. Thanks, Mrs. Amazing. Anyone else coming through tonight, thanks for following us. What an incredible time we live in. But these two stories, I guess mainstream media, petrol prices for sure. Then it's sort of become FOMO, because the market really is so small for used EVs, with only 3,000, give or take, selling a month to give us a market of 35,000 a year last year, that if we got a small swing in demand, there was no doubt that suddenly it was going to be a lack of supply. And that's what we found in the last couple of weeks. Dealers are selling out. Private sellers are selling a lot quicker than it used to be. It was 50, 60 odd days. It was 2 months on average. Suddenly, everyone's just making a grab. But someone ruefully suggested, a colleague of mine in WA, that EVs have become the toilet paper of the modern era. It's just, everyone's just going crazy. And of course, what we've seen is prices increasing, which, again, I would have never believed. But such a small market, such high swing in demand has meant the sensitivity on prices has just meant what has been in there and what is there has been up by 15, 20%. So we're going to take a look at all those factors tonight and see, well, is there anything left for sale? Because they'd make you believe that there wasn't. The same rules apply about buying any used car. Do your due diligence, get it checked out. But certainly prices are up and certainly supply is down. We're going to take a bit of a cruise around some of the markets, Facebook, Amazing EV, and just check some of those markets out. But we're certainly seeing, well, prices that are, I guess are starting to, will start to put some people off, start to make some people second guess that they're not getting a bargain anymore. And certainly we're going to get a balance in the next couple of weeks. No matter what happens overseas, we're going to get some sort of start the balance return. And in many ways, this might have brought forward some business, some transactions that might have been in the past. So certainly the new car sellers are taking orders that they can't bring, in many cases, their deliveries here any faster. So if anything, their order books are going to be fuller, which is going to take care of the next 3 or 4 months. So Hal 9000 PC, thanks for joining us. What an incredible time we're living in at the moment. Absolutely amazing. Look, further proof is in the pudding. This example here, this Roadster we looked at only last week. Now, this is a real outlier. Just absolutely incredible because, there's only a couple of Roadsters for sale. 189,000. This has been on the market for a couple of years now. I've been following this one. I haven't spoken to the owner, but this one. And then we check on car sales this week, and let's have a look. We'll go and have a look at the this one, because that a very funny thing happened about the sensitivity road. The sensitivity. Oh, you got to push Tesla, of course. Otherwise, you end up with all sorts of other Roadsters. Let's have a look. Tesla Roadster, one car, show one car. He's now asking $300,000. Absolutely incredible. Let me share that screen with you. This is currently the same car on car sales right at the moment. The car that we had last week, the Tesla Roadster, was $189,000, now $300,000. So, well, like everything in a bull market, in a bubble, you're going to get some price inflation. So we've started to see that around the traps. Just remarkable that we can see back to back because we've been tracking this one. Very interesting Roadster there. Last week, 189,000. This week, 300,000 from a very optimistic. So look, I don't know if that's suddenly affected collectors of Roadsters that are that keen, but wow, what an example. And another Gordon Ramsay moment. Wow. Yeah, this is quite remarkable. So we've got some other examples that we're going to go through, but we're going to see amongst all that whether there is actually any used EV bargains out there still, because I suspect there still is. And what we've seen broadly, though, is listings have been way down. This is the latest listings from car sales, dealer and private EVs. And look, let's just say they've got 80, 90% of the market. Sure, everybody has to list on car sales. The dealers all do. Most private sellers do. Some go through Facebook. Numbers are minimal. Auto Trader. But predominantly, everyone ticks the car sales box. It's just the go-to place as a monopoly. That private number, 800 odd, it's been around 800 all week. That's half, at least half. I think that was about 2,000 about 2 months ago. We checked these numbers, and the dealer numbers were creeping up. I think there were a bit more in the way of demos there. Dealer numbers were creeping up, but we checked that last week. That's thanks, Hal. We checked that last week and can't believe it. So the stock is down by at least half, I'd say, on the private side. On the dealer side, they're definitely down, but still carrying quite a few demos, I'd say. So there's got to be some bargains there, and the dealers aren't going to adjust their prices anywhere near as fast initially. So all those bargains went. Maybe in the first 10 days, it took a while to people to start to put the prices up. So sort of week 3 of that, we're starting to get some back to our timeline. Week 3, we're starting to get a bit of movement, and those that were in the know and had the money and were ready to pounce, they jumped in and got most of the bargains. Now by week 4, we're seeing stocks way lower than we've seen before, down by at least 2/3 in some cases, maybe half on the private side of the selling ledger. We're seeing pricing increasing by 15-20%. We're seeing the FOMO probably fall away a bit. I think those that have dealt and keen to jump in. But I don't know about you guys. I've seen and heard more comments from people who've reached out to me and said, you must be happy you're driving an EV. I've heard that more in the last 10 days than I have for the last 3 years. And people just coming at it with a smile, knowing that you're happy, they're happy. They may have got an EV, they may not have, but it's been a different type of conversation than it was. Certainly even 3 months ago. So what a shift in the needle just in 3 months' time. And look, I hope the journalists stay on board. I hope they keep writing some good things. I hope we don't get the stories and the swing stories from fantastic now, the answer to everything, back to, well, I only bought because I had to, because petrol prices were high. We hope we get some solid EV buyers, and hope everyone who buys an EV loves it and enjoys it just as much as we do. Absolutely incredible that we have seen some of the pricing, and I'm going to jump to Facebook now, because first up, we've seen, and we're following quite closely, just quite a few cars, and start with the MG4, which, and there were some deals around for sure. There were some deals around. This is Queensland. Hello, Queensland. Everyone in Queensland, hope you're well tonight. Starting there, I've got 1, 2, 3 MG4s. Now, normally this would be a few more. This is usually about the 4th biggest seller on the used market through and through in the last year or so. So, look, whether there's any bargains there, the new one's just been released, which may have a bit of balancing pressure. New MG4 just announced it, drive away for the cheapest version at close to 31,000 as an introduction. So that may have an effect. But 3 there, and one's just dropped the price to 29.5. So I haven't tracked these closely, but these numbers are well down on what they were for cars for sale. We'll jump straight over to car sales and have a look at MG4 over there. And let's see what they've got on car sales just at the moment for MG4s, just by way of comparison. Again, 4th biggest MG4, 4th biggest. We'll just go down to private sellers. We'll stay clear of seller details. Private. 5. Again, 3 in Queensland, 5 on car sales. So these ones, that's ramped up a little bit. No doubt about that. Again, 30 grand for a 23 model, 27,000 Ks. That might be a deal. That's Queensland again. That one might have been on Facebook. We might have doubled up there. If you're still looking for a deal on an MG4, again, the new one's coming. If you're a fan of the new one, if you're a fan of the old one, different style, very different car. That 24 model at close to 40, that's only low Ks though. Very new indeed. 33, 41, not bad for an X-Power. So still getting some value in the MG4 area. Not crazy pricing yet. Certainly we've seen some of the other brands, and we'll get to those shortly. But MG4, there could be still some bargains there. So again, if you don't like the shape of the new one, keep an eye out for some of these MG4s, both on Facebook. Let's go back to Facebook, have a look in Sydney. Sorry if we're major city focused, Sydney, because we're going to have more chance of finding a bit of stock. What have we got? MG4, 1 there. MGZS, MG33, 1, MG4, in Sydney. So, and 5 on car sales. That could mean there's only 10 now. I know there's some dealer stock. If I had a look on dealers, you could probably go to MG. I know they're running them out. So still there's going to be some deals there and some bargains. If you're looking for MG4, there's a couple of private ones that just keep the market honest. The new one's coming at a good price, much better, much more competitively priced than the previous model. Haven't looked at the full specs and haven't had a chance to drive yet, but we're focused on the used side of things. So very interesting. I'm not going to go down to Melbourne, guys. Hello, anyone in Melbourne watching tonight, but I'm going to just stay in a fairly interesting comparison there between the market in Sydney and the market in Melbourne at the moment for the MG4. The market between Queensland and Sydney and Facebook, only a handful. The deals are going to be still probably with the dealers as they run them out. A couple of good deals there just on an MG4. By the way, if you've noticed, or maybe you haven't, Facebook doesn't have Polestar as a type of car, which is probably not a great omen, but you don't get a Pol. If I spelled it correctly, it'd be handy. But if you go to list a car or you look for a car, people end up putting them under Volvo or putting Polestar in the description. Just another anomaly. Facebook, if you can just add Polestar, it's not gone yet. They're still popular. Plenty of sellers on the EV, on the used market. Can you add that to the category of car types, please? Anyone listening at Facebook tonight? But nothing on the Polestar. There's normally, again, probably the third biggest seller on the used market, Polestar. You're not going to find them. Let's jump over to car sales and just work our way up here. I just got a 300 grand. It just freaks me out. A week ago, the Roadster. Oh, sorry, I'm still laughing at this. I can't help myself. A week ago, 189.5. Is that a bubble market? Yeah, maybe. And look, that's optimistic, but seriously, I mean, it's a collector's item, but wow, we've seen a few things. It's a crazy market. When we got involved with this a year ago, we knew it was going to be interesting, but again, you'd never predict, even at the beginning of this year, that times that we're having, fun times that we're having with markets like this would have materialized. And this makes it all the more interesting and fascinating to be involved in it and just watching what's going on. It took a while, even a couple of weeks ago, to realize that it was moving so quickly. Sure, listings started to slow down on Amazing EV, and we just weren't getting them. And then suddenly cars were selling a lot faster. And we thought, what's going on? Yeah, I agree, Hal. Yeah, I might. I'll steer clear of pole dancers. Indeed, I'm very careful. And we won't even try and find out if Facebook Marketplace has pole dancers, because I'm sure they are on the Facebook Marketplace. But you wouldn't have believed that the last 4 weeks, it would have evolved the way it has. And it's been fun following it, because again, we've got a few listings there. Some of them, again, tricky to know whether they are still there or not in many cases. Some of them may have been sold. Let me just do a shout out while I'm back and I'm jumping around before I do get on to back to car sales and Polestars. I'm just going to jump to some good friends at Adventure EV. We've had this, and they do the conversions on the Skywell. This is one of their first editions, and you can check them out at adventureev.com.au. And I think we'll go to that site there. They fantastic niche doing, and look, there's a few good companies out there doing it. Great ideas, different vans. You can probably choose your own electric van, but specializing in EV camper conversions, which are going to be a great idea if you're just dawdling around Australia, just checking it out. What a better way to do it than your own portable battery. Everything's included. You got power with you. You're not restricted to campsite power. You can charge up as you go. They've got the Farahs on there as well, and no doubt they'll have the Kia, the PV5 coming later in the year. So you can choose your van. They're doing some great work. They've got a demo at Amazing EV, which we've had and showcased. It's still there. I think I spoke to David. He reminded me, you might better get a deal on this one. I said I'd do a shout out for him tonight. But don't forget, it's not all about cars. Camper vans, again, happy to have a look at listing anything, again, even with cars that's wovey, anything that might have been damaged, that's been repaired. properly and registerable. But camper vans is another great area with big supporters of trucks. If you've got a small truck, vans, commercials, motorcycles, anything you want to list on Amazing EV that is electric, we are happy to list for you and try and promote. So shout out to David and Adventure EV Electrical up in Brisbane. And they've got this one for sale still as well. Low-K demo if you're still looking to get a deal. He might be negotiable on that 120,000, but yeah, a lot of work's gone into that to build those things out. So just keep an eye on that one. But let's jump back to car sales. And again, I must get a bar on this, like, well, not a bar, but I must get a search option on Amazing EV and build that out of AI, where you can just go Polestar, because it's a lot easier than not Pole Dancer, how Polestar. 59 Polestars for sale or for order. Again, I want to go down to the private seller details. Private 21. I hadn't kept track of how many Polestars, but this is way down because there's normally a number of cars that are, again, ex-Uber, or they were very popular with Ubers. Incredible. So trying to find a deal here. Let's go low to high. Trying to find if there's still any deals here. Low to high. And we've got 21 around the country. So these were 35 all day long, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Sorry for anyone, and I'm not talking to you, Stan, who might have sold late last year, but it seems like you're more than happy with the Zeekr. So yeah, look, I know it was tough, but time to move on. But for many, Polestars are still a great car. Low-K, a 22 version, 30,000 Ks, 40 grand. These were 30, 35-ish, 35 might have been. Long range. That is a good one. That's a good one. I've actually got a customer who made an inquiry. I must send them that link because that's a good deal. 40 grand, long range, 22, done 30,000 Ks. That'll be like new. So we took an inquiry, and if anyone's got any inquiries, we had someone email us looking for something only a few days ago. So that happens 2 or 3 times a week. We're happy to go out and try and find you something, help you navigate the way through what's good and what's not so good. Stan, how you doing? Stan, Polestar prices have just peaked a little bit along with everything else. Everything's up 15, 20% at the moment. So look, you're loving the Zeekr 7X. So yeah, timing's not always everything, but sounds like you're going to have a great trip with that and have had some great trips as well. So these are up. There's no doubt. Can't find anything. 40 grand, Polestar 223. Yeah, these are up for 5 grand at least from what they were 2 weeks ago. So these were 35, 22 done, 69 Ks. That's 10 grand up all day long. So the market adjusts quickly. Hard to believe that the market adjusts so quickly, especially from the private sellers side of things. You know, they must have been getting some inquiry and or not, but this wasn't that well known amongst anybody. Lots of people have been surprised in the last week. So some of these prices have really adjusted really, really quickly. But that's Polestar 2 long range, which again, long range, good, not a bad car, but still they weren't attracting the premium they should have been. And we're still going. 22 Polestar 2 done 39 Ks, standard range for 22,000. So starting to get into the tell them they're dreaming realm, but I don't know. I think some of these sellers are just starting to push the envelope again, and we're going to find it's a middle ground. That's why I'm fascinated to watch it with my science analyst's cap on, because suddenly we're getting these cars, which were, this was 40 grand, top max at 30,000 Ks, 35, 36. So, wow. Look, if you bought a month, 2 months ago, you'd be very tempted to sell again. But part of the reason I think listings are down is not just the fact that they've sold many of them. I think that people might have changed their mind and also decided to keep them. If the media's been blaring in your ear how wonderful EVs are, perhaps you said, I'm not going to sell it, I'll take it off the market. So a lot of the data that tracks the sellers assumes it was sold. So we're not going to get any real numbers on that. It's just my gut feeling, just anecdotally, I think part of the equation is that the stock numbers are down because people have decided not to sell. But we'll never know because they only track a listing on, a listing off, and they count that as a sale. They don't actually expect people to withdraw their listings. So one of my theories, but yes, and Stan seeing messages on the Zika 7X Facebook page, people wanting to buy one. No chance anyone's going to give theirs up. Yeah, the new market's going to be very tight. I imagine the allocations are fairly well structured months in advance. Sure, they can take orders, but they can't push a button or pull a lever and expect numbers just to flood forward and send another ship out to here. I imagine similar things are happening in other right-hand drive markets through Asia and parts of the world where they're delivering, and right-hand drives a small part of their overall manufacturing allocation anyway. So probably made to order, probably made specifically to order now. They don't want to be carrying extra stock. Yeah, sure, there might be some Xpeng G6s, but yeah, anyway, that's a sore point. So we won't go there tonight. But yeah. Hey, Hal, we're just thinking about the same thing exactly the same time. I will. Let's go to G6s now. Just all right. I'll humor everybody. Polestar 2, these are up big time. I'm increasing my level from 15-20% easy. There's some optimistic pricing here. I did check on the Polestar authorized sales site. They had nothing. Let's do it now. Let's check. Xpeng. Yeah, I know. I'm not laughing. I'm going to try and keep a straight face. All right. It's not good. Not good for the whole industry. Someone said in a vlog this week that can't even spell Xpeng. Someone said there were 600 sitting in warehouses of the old G6s. So I don't know. And not exactly. Again, we'll go low to high. Featured low to high. 11. Okay, 45. Yeah, they're still getting pretty excited about those prices. What do you think, Hal? I mean, I'm no bargains really. One, dealer used. I haven't split these between private. I don't think any G6 owners will be selling them. Well, maybe they will. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Seller details, private, 0. No, sorry, a 0 private. So hasn't caused a spurt of sales on the private market. They're all dealers, so but there'll be a few more on the dealer market, that's for sure. I did go down to Xpeng at the airport at Mascot, their major showroom, just did a drive-by. And we all know the story about TrueEV. You can Google that. I'm not going to go through that again. But yeah, that showroom is still open. So perhaps administrators are still running the business as is possible sometimes. Any news anybody else has got? 101 Rosco, those prices are sold. Yeah. I know. I don't know. I imagine that they still don't have orders for all the Xpengs that are actually sitting here. We had overheard some conversations, and yeah, I don't think sales have been that great either for the last 3 months. Hence, the position they ended up with. We did overhear a conversation that I'll keep top secret from inside Xpeng, which we shouldn't have heard, that yeah, things weren't great. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm surprised those prices have crept up as well. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to check out, because I'm just gonna I'll go to the other fun place, and just to show you what I found on the Tesla website in the last week, trying to find Tesla authorized inventory. And I need to put my glasses on for this one. And this is all I could find. I don't even know if these are here still. Anyone who knows the Tesla market reasonably well, for a 21 and 22 standard range rear-wheel drive Model 3, these were 30 grand, 35 grand all day long retail about 3 weeks ago. And now we've got 44,913 and 46,046 And I don't even know if that's drive away. One's got enhanced autopilot, but still, goodness, 33,000 Ks and 48,000 Ks. So these were 35K all day long. Wow. Geez, it's a big Gordon Ramsay night tonight. Half my face is missing. Why is that? Oh, well, it's unbelievable. Let's get rid of that. Is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, screen, where am I? Rosco, camera A. There you go. No, but that is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's have a look at Model 3s on car sales, because we've got a couple again, but they were moving pretty quickly, and I assume they're all sold now. I haven't talked to owners in the last couple of days. I must go circle back and find out what's going on. Tesla Model 3. There is no Model 4 yet. 3. What would Model 4 look like? Again, high to low, low to high. All right, so there's still one there for 30 grand. Private sale, 19s, 20s. Again, these were probably late 20s, but I've seen these prices bump up pretty quickly as well. So maybe some people haven't been inundated yet. 124,000 Ks, 30,000, 100,000. So there's still some models there privately. That's good to see, because again, Tesla just having a complete lend on those prices. We don't talk to Tesla, but that's just absolutely bizarre. I know they're authorized Tesla, but so here at least we can still get a reasonable deal, something late, some fairly high K models there, but good, some reasonable good deals back around the 30, 35. Again, some of these probably could be had, the 19s could be had for under 30,000. So they're up 10% at least, 10 or 15%. Some of the 22 models, again, done 90, they were 30 Ks. Interesting. So we still got between dealer, and again, we'll split them up between seller details. Let's have a private. No dealer. See, yeah, dealers just aren't carrying these cars. All private. Absolute, complete opposite of the mainstream market. Very interesting that, again, dealers just aren't touching these cars still in numbers, or they've sold them. Perhaps they've sold them. We do deal with a couple of smaller dealers, and they have had a good week as well, and just about everything was under offer. But that's the complete opposite from what you'd expect. And on Tesla corporate, we have got a seller who is pretty close to Tesla, who's got a Model S for sale, Don, and I don't think he minds. I asked him how busy they were, and he said inquiries are up 50%. So, yeah, they're going to have some good months in the next few months on the new car side of things. And I think we're going to certainly see. All right, let's go back to shared screen. I've just been looking at all the Tesla Model 3s without showing it on the screen. Just recapping on that because I forgot to switch my screen over. But interesting to see. Firstly, I had a quick check of the private versus the dealer. Just amazed that that private number is so high versus the dealers, because the dealers either have sold everything or just aren't touching them. But so there's still some good deals on the private side, but that's incredible considering the overall ratio is sort of 3/4 dealer on the used EV side. It's 3/4 dealer and 1/4 private. Less than that now, 20% private. This is remarkable. It's completely opposite, because Tesla Model 3s are still the bread and butter of the used EV market. So this is amazing, but still some deals there. And I was blabbing away without having the screen on. Low to high in terms of pricing, 28,000 Ks, still a couple under 30. And that's probably pretty reasonable. 100 high Ks though, again, worth a battery check. 1920s. Did a battery check on a 2019 Tesla with the NMC battery, and it was 84.5%. So they're not doing as well as the LFP batteries. I think that's reasonable. Battery check is certainly advisable, and we'll put a plug in for Nathan from Test EV as usual. He's going to be joining the show on Wednesday night because he's been as close to the market as I've been. He's close to the dealers on the dealer side of used EVs, talking to them about selling, talking to them about battery testing, telling them about what's stopping them from buying or selling, working with the auction houses to try and increase it. So he's been going gangbusters. He's been flat out this week with inquiries, battery testing. So that's becoming a thing, and it's giving those dealers more confidence. Perhaps they have sold them. Perhaps the dealers have sold all those cars, but these private ones are still going to represent some great opportunities spread all over the place, I'd say. No doubt. Surprised again. So there's still some deals out there. And I'm just going to just scroll up there. Still some deals out there. Not as bad as the Polestars. There's still a bit of competition creeping back into this. And we looked at the same thing on Facebook. Again, Model 3s. I'll stay in Sydney. Tesla Model 3. And maybe some of those cars are under offer because what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 cars in Sydney still going. One there, maybe 15, 20, yeah. Creeping back up again. Not as bad as it was a few days ago. Still some pricing there. What do we got? Pricing max, min, maximum. Have we got anything under 30k? Just to have a look. We got a Tesla Gen 3 wall charger under 30k. That'd be a go. There's one, 2019, 30k. This guy's trying to rent it out. That's what he's doing there. Any bargains? Any other bargains on Facebook Marketplace tonight? All sorts of. There's one there, 29,990. So not too bad, and maybe there is a few deals out there still. A couple at 30. There was a few more. Let's just bump that up to 35 just to see what. So there is still some deals out there. Stock's down, prices are up. There's certainly on the 35, 1, 2, 3. He's just dropped his price by $3,000 back to 32. So maybe the FOMO is over. Maybe the rush has finished. The sensitivity was high, but maybe the rush of those people that have acted, and maybe with a bit of talk of things quietening down overseas, oil's come back a bit. Maybe the trend's starting to unwind a little bit. The bubble's starting to just deflate slightly. Hard to say. We'll be keeping close track on it. Tell me if there's anything else that you want to check out and have a look at. I'm going to check my messages here, see if there's anything else there. Tell me if there's anything else. I'm going to finish off with Model Ys. Again, still the bread and butter. We'll have a quick look on Facebook. Tesla Model Y. We'll have a look on Facebook. 7:15. Plenty to choose from. 50 grand, 50 grand, 65 grand. Can we find a Model Y under 40 grand? There were a few at 35. Model 3, Model Y, 39k for 22. Again, these were probably 35 grand all day long. It's done 190,000 Ks. Yeah, that's optimistic. Wow. Again, another Gordon moment. Wow. That 190,000. So yeah, there's a couple of deals, but not so much on the Model Ys. There's still a few Model 3s floating around. There's half a car for 10 grand. Model 3, hardly any Model Ys. Gone. One. Let's just jump up to 50Ks, 45,000. What do you get for 45,000? Sorry, Stan, we're going to have a few Tesla moments. Again, starting to get kick in there, 145, a 21 model. Model 3, Model Y fridge. Interesting. 43,000 for a 23 model, done 80,000. That's not bad. There's a deal. There's a good deal there. Again, not bad at all. It's listed 6 weeks ago. So yeah, you'd think that might have picked up a bit of interest. Not so much. One final look at Facebook at car sales. And we've had a couple on Amazing EV that, again, have all gone, all sold. And again, the rush. If anyone wants to sell, by all means, if you're starting to feel that the market is just going off the boil a bit, we are more than happy to do anything we can. Use the listing Amazing EV. It's a free coupon to list, normally $29.95, but don't forget you can list on Amazing EV, and then we'll do everything we possibly can to try and sell through this channel and other social media as well. It can't believe how much this market's turned in a few weeks. I'll just finish off and we'll just get bounced back to car sales again. I'll be keen to just check the Model Ys just to see if we can find anything there. Model Y, nothing on the Tesla official website. Model Y, again, we'll go low to high. What's the cheapest Model Y we can find? Only there's 111 for sale. This one we have still got listed on Amazing EV, 33,969. That's out the one that's done 335,000 K. So maybe this will find an owner. We did a battery check on this one, 86%. Absolutely incredible. Again, this could be a deal at 30 Ks. They might take 30. It's been out Ubering most of its life non-stop. So battery was absolutely fantastic, 86%. 40. Then we jumped to 40K. Unbelievable. Look at that. Nothing under 40K for model. So the Model Ys are moving, and they've bumped up at least 15% from 35,000. A 22 Model Y was, and this is like mine, Model Y 22 done 94,000, 40K, $40,000 in South Australia. So prices are up. Check out Amazing EV. We'll see if we can find some bargains for you. There's that one there. There's the battery test. We've shown this one a couple of times, but that is amazing for a car that's done 335,000 Ks. Absolutely amazing. 86.6% through test EV. So that's what it looks like. That's what you're going to get done. Well worth it if you're buying, if dealers are buying. Well worth it if you're buying still. Don't rush into it. Still get the battery checked out. Absolutely incredible. So what a crazy time it is in the whole world of EVs. It's this has made this game a whole lot more fun. We haven't had the listings that we've had, but I expect things to bounce back in a couple of weeks or so. Prices are going to get too high, and then they're going to come back again. We're going to get a bubble now, and we can't wait to see what the sales figures are for March. But I think it's going to be a real aberration, and things are going to go back to tracking normally again. Thanks for joining us tonight. Prices have bumped up. FOMO's tailing off a little bit. There's still some deals out there. We still found a few. Listings are well down and people have been chasing them, but there's starting a few more deals coming back on. People have got to sell, and maybe they're not going to be as optimistic about pricing the next week or so. So maybe sit back and just wait a bit. Maybe strange for a guy that runs an EV marketplace, but maybe pragmatically sit back and wait and see if this bubble does burst just a little bit. And maybe this prices will come back to probably somewhere. As I say, there's such a small market. It's been so sensitive to a huge dive in by everybody that, yeah, perhaps just sit back and wait. Maybe it'll be time. I had a conversation with someone today who said, yeah, we were keen, but we're just waiting to see now because we know prices have gone up and things we're looking at. So maybe we'll sit back, wait. You can still get your Amazing EV. You can still find a deal, and it's still going to be a great buy when it comes down to the driving and the everyday enjoyment. We're going to enjoy ours, and I think a lot of people have decided that perhaps they aren't going to sell anymore. I'm Rosco. Guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks, Stan. Thanks, Hal. Thanks for your comments. Good to see you all. And we'll be back Wednesday night with Nathan to dive into this and find out what exactly has been happening out there in the market and dealer world. And we're going to talk about what we've seen as well. So hopefully we'll catch you Wednesday night. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Rosco. Thanks, Facebook. Thanks, YouTube. And if you're watching later, we'll see you next time.